Welcome to GTC's Teaching Tidbits Blackboard Ultra. In this series, we explore techniques, tips, practices, ideas to expand your knowledge of and your comfort with using Blackboard Ultra. And again today, I am joined by April Akins from the Curriculum and Instructional Support Center, CISC for short. Welcome back, April.
Thanks. Glad to see you again.
Good to see you too. We do this every month. It's a regular occurrence, always a good time. I'm always excited to hear what new is coming. So again, with these episodes, looking at how Blackboard Ultra is continually making updates, we've got April here to provide a look into the updates that are coming for March 2025. So April, I'm going to turn it over to you to share all about these new updates that are coming.
So for March updates, like I said, I can't believe it's already March. I'm going to highlight the top three, and I think the third one I'm going to mention, everybody is going to jump up and down for excitement. But let me go through the first two, and then we'll get to that one. So the first is when you're making those conditions, release conditions on your assignments for students, now you're going to be able to see the due dates. They're adding it to the panel. So you'll see underneath when you set up the access, it now tells you what the due date is. So you don't have to flip back to that assignment or write it down so you know where it is. So you're making sure that you're keeping that up to date. So you just got to make sure that you select the date, that can't be after that due date. So looking at that, it's right there in front of you to see that, which is something that I think is helpful that they've added that back in. The other thing is when you're individually copying items from one course to another, you're now going to be able to copy those banners that you're putting at the top of the course, which is something you haven't been able to do. But I think it's a nice little setting to add that back in so that you can add those banners over to a course to make them look the same without having to go find it and upload it into the new course. So those are just some quick fixes for instructors to make life a little bit easier for you. The third one, this is the one I think people are going to be super excited about, is now they're going to be able to pop out your rubric when you're grading assignments. So you'll see here in this screenshot, you've got the assignment here on the left, and then you've got a pop-out window beside of it that's the rubric for grading. So as you work through it, you can click in the pills and you can make the changes right here. It does still provide you the student's name, so you know who you're working with. I know when I was in original view, and I was working with rubrics and had them, come up behind my screen, thought I saved it, went back to it later, and I'm like, who is this student? So I think it's great that they have added the student name here at the top so you can see who you're grading at that point, especially if you had to minimize it or move it out of the way and come back to it at a later point. But you do want to make sure you save and close. I will say that if you don't do that, it will prompt you if you accidentally hit the X to close out of that window. It will say, you've not saved this. Did you mean to, close out without saving? So that's a great new thing that's happening. Something else you'll be able to do is print these rubrics. So you can either print them as completed. So if you're wanting that student information printed out, so you can go over it with them, face to face, and you want that paper copy. Or if you need it for some sort of assessment as, artifacts or documentation, or you can print them with it blank. So if you want to use a blank one just so you have it on, on file in your documents, you can do it as a blank, or you can do it as a completed when you print that out. I have not seen what the print's going to look like or where the print button's actually going to show up. I would assume it's probably going to show up at the top, kind of like it does for when you print a test out or an assessment. So don't really know where that's going to show up, but we'll see what happens with that. I will highlight too that with the pop-out rubrics, I think it's going to be easier for you to navigate between the two, but anything that you're doing in that live pop-out will update back to the main assignment, but you can't make changes in the assignment side, if that makes sense. So if you're doing something with a pop-out, what's there on the main assignment page, you're not able to click into it and make changes. So you got to work in one of the two screens as you're going through it. And let me see, it was another thing I wanted to make sure I highlighted with that. The other piece is grade overrides. If a grade has been overridden for a student, it's going to warn you about that when you try to pop out the rubric and do grading, because it cannot work on that if you've overridden the grade. So you want to make sure that you go in and set that up to regrade it. And then, like I said, you can now print them out as well. And with that, it's going to have the ability to add the overall feedback and the grade with the rubric with that. So those are the three big highlights. I will say there's a couple of things coming up for student preview when it comes to them doing a submission, like when they've submitted a test. It's going to look more like it does when they submit an assignment. And there's a couple of other things that's just going to make the flow easier for students, but we can't see that in test view, so I can't give you a highlight of what that looks like. But definitely check out the LibGuide because we'll have more information about what that's going to look like. And hopefully I can get some screenshots in there too to show you what that'll look like at that point. One other thing too, they're looking at we know AI uses a lot of energy, and that's impacting, our economy and our kind of the climate as well. So we want to cut that down a little bit. So one thing they're doing is when you do the generated images, because that takes a lot of processing, they're not going to show you 5 anymore. They're going to show you 1 or 2, I believe. And then if those don't work for what you're looking for when you do those automated or generated images, all you've got to do is hit the next button so that it'll generate another one. But instead of giving you 5 to start with, they're trying to clean that up a little bit, just give you a couple. So those are the main highlights, but definitely stay tuned for the LibGuide where I'll have more of the highlights where I can get more images in there for you on those things that we just don't have images yet to take a look at. Hopefully the print button, I can see that before then as well and get that up on the LibGuide. So that's all I have for today.
All right. Thank you, April. Those are exciting updates. Again, those major updates. Actually, I was getting excited by the second one where the banner will copy over. It seems like a small thing, but it is a time saver. If it's one less thing you have to go in when you're trying to update classes for the new semester, etc. So that excited me, but that pop out rubric and the ability to print the rubric, both really exciting options. So I can't wait to try it out when that update happens and see how it works and what that might do for us. So thank you for sharing those little tidbits. And again, if you want to continue the conversation with April, please feel free to reach out to her. I've got her email up here on the screen, april.akins@gvltec.edu, as well as if you have questions, you're encountering a challenge, again, we want to encourage you to submit a support ticket to CISC. It's very easy to do, and it will help connect you to the exact right person to assist you with your question or your challenge. And you can find the link to that support ticket in the notes or description below this video. And definitely check out the CISC LibGuide. Again, the link is in the description below the video, where you'll find just a wealth of information. And of course, the additional little elements that April mentioned that she did not have access to see just yet will show up there as well. So be sure to check that out. They do such a wonderful job of an expansive job of providing you with as many resources and tools as possible to support you in your use of Blackboard and beyond, all the other tools that we use as well. Well, that's our teaching tidbit for this episode, and we will see you next time.